Pods, how did Jake Lever pull up this morning then through the captain's run?
Yeah, really good. He trained yesterday, training again today, and apart from his confidence being low from me beating him at goal kicking, which he wanted me to mention, he's all good to go.
So he's right for tomorrow night?
Yep. Yes.
Sweet. Okay. Yep. Any other injuries or any fitness concerns out of this morning? Or?
No, everyone got through and we'll go in as selected tomorrow.
Okay. I suppose, is that sort of decision made about who's going to replace Luke Brown?
Well, from a backs perspective, I mean, we've seen a little bit of Richard Douglas back there this year, a bit of Wayne Miller as well. So, we've got some guys that can circle through there. So those guys will potentially roll through there.
Is the preference to keep a steady side and roll someone back as opposed to bringing someone new in, like Kyle?
Kyle Cheney. Yeah, I mean, Kyle Cheney and Tom Duday are really close to playing. So they're playing in really good form in the SNFL level. But as I said, like Richie Douglas and Wayne Miller have played back there this year as well. So they've showed some good signs down there.
Pods, when you say Lever is good to go,
yep.
So he will play or he's available?
No, sorry, he's playing. Yep, he's playing. Yep.
So the implication there, Pods, that we can take out of those that someone's going to come in perhaps higher up the ground?
With?
Luke Brown going out?
Yeah, I mean, exactly right. So we'll, when's match committee? Tonight. Yeah. Tonight.
Do you play poker at all?
What's that? I'm not very good. I wonder why. Yeah.
So just roll someone back and put an extra midfielder in?
Yeah.
Could a bigger bodied 300-game midfielder get a look in?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about Scott Thompson. I mean, he's been in pretty good form in the SNFL level as well. So, I mean, we're really happy with where Tomo's progressions, how he's progressed throughout the season. Obviously, he came through a limited pre-season with a shoulder injury, but he's actually in pretty good form.
It was a fitness thing with him, wasn't it? I mean, that's why he's had to have such a big block in the SANFL. Yeah,
it was more a match fitness thing, yeah. I mean, when you play 300 games of AFL football, you've got a pretty good base level of fitness, and Tomo's got that. But the ability to repeat effort, tackles, get up, sprint, all those things take a bit of time when you haven't done much pre-season. He's going through that in the moment. He's going all right.
Did the selected team train the day before the game in the captain's run?
Yep.
Did Thompson train this morning?
Well, the SNFL team all trained today as well. So everyone trained.
At the captain's run? Any concerns over your back six? I mean, there was a bit of talk that the Crows were struggling to defend repeat entries and Talia sort of not being ideal when he's left one out sort of thing. Are there concerns, or do you restructure it all after what happened last week?
No, not at all. I mean, we're actually really happy with the way our side is defending. I mean, the back six cop a lot of the brunt of it, and they probably externally you probably look at them, but it's more about our team defence, and we think the backs in particular are defending pretty well over the course of the season.
Pikey spoke the other day that sort of leading on from that, it's not so much about what the back six is doing, but it's hitting tackles and fundamentals up the ground. Has it been a really big focus this week? The Saints have come out and said that it's going to be a real big tackling game. Is that something that you've put a huge emphasis on?
Well, we train that every week, so it's not an emphasis for us. But as you mentioned, St Kilda actually bring some really good pressure. And they force you to try and make mistakes. So our players know that. We dealt with them last year and the way we played them last year. So it is going to be one of those games, but I think we've got some tools to handle that.
They're a really fast team on offence and defence, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. They actually move the ball pretty well. And when they get it inside their forward 50, they got some pretty dangerous players up there. Membry's, I reckon, one of the most underrated players in the comp. He's a pretty good contested mark. Paddy McCartan is only a matter of time before he tears a game apart as well, and some of their small forwards in Gresham and Billings are pretty dangerous. So they move the ball pretty well, and it's going to be a challenge for our backs.
Can you plan for someone who might tear a game apart soon but hasn't yet? McCartan. Can you plan for someone with massive potential like that?
Oh yeah, you have to. I reckon you've got to plan as a backs coach for their forwards to play the best they can, and we've all seen Paddy McCartan play that way. Some point, he's just a young player going through the ebbs and flows of AFL footy, so he's going to be a good player eventually.
The last quarter against the Cats, you looked like you turned things around in terms of playing an extra forward to combat the guys that play loose behind the ball. Is that the blueprint then, when teams sort of feel like they implement the same blueprint that North Melbourne and Melbourne and Geelong have done?
Yeah, I think we change it up a little bit. We don't always have six forwards ahead of the ball. Sometimes we have a higher forward, but it's all dependent on what the game's telling us. And Geelong played really well last week, and whether they dropped off their intensity in the last quarter, which made our strategy look a bit better, potentially that was the case. So it's not something that we think is a blueprint going forward necessarily.
What did you learn from last week's game? What did you learn from that?
That we're still, some of the external stuff that's been said about us is probably a little bit off the mark. I mean, internally we still believe that we're a really good contested ball side, and we wouldn't be ranked in the top couple in the comp if we're not. From our perspective, it's about reinforcing that to our players that we're there for a reason.
The Cats were really good.
So have the players taken all the external talk during the week you just touched on? Have they let that get to them? How do they feel about where they're at?
No, they definitely don't let it get to them. I mean, as a coach, you're sort of across these things, and you hope that the players don't. It doesn't infiltrate their subconscious mind at all. But we talk to them about what they're doing well internally, and forget about the external noise.
Is that they're too nice? Is it which part of the external chat do you hope they don't listen to? Too nice or contested ball or
all of it?
Was there one part in particular?
No, I was just answering a question about contested ball and.
Yeah, so that's why when you're talking to Andrew, it was contested ball, not that it was a bit too easy to play. So there's a few schools that thought that the Crows are a bit too easy to play.
Yeah, and as I said, that we're not like that internally. Internally, you can see the stats reflect pretty well on our season, and that we actually are pretty good at that contested ball area. So, don't buy into the external talk is the message for the players.
What about in terms of getting tougher in terms of fighting off tags and applying physical pressure at the contest? Is that something that might be justified? Or?
Are you talking about Sloaney because he's the one that's getting tagged at the moment, or?
Well, Sloaney, but just in general, like it seems obviously with Matt Crouch getting jumper punch last week and just general stuff like that,
Yeah, well, the jumper punch is an event really, so it's not. It's hard to comment on that. But Sloaney's worked his way through the last probably 6 weeks. He has been tagged in the past as well. He's working his way through how to shake that, and we think there's a couple of games this year he's actually done it really well. So it's almost a credit to him that he does get some focus.
What about across the back line? Obviously, Rory Laird and Brodie Smith have been pretty influential this season, but it seems obviously the Cats and other teams have been able to shut them down and apply a lot of sort of forward pressure on those two guys and negate their impact a bit. Have you guys sort of worked on how to get them free? Yeah,
absolutely. I agree with you, and I think the Saints as well. If we move forward and forget about the Geelong game for a second, the Saints actually bring that kind of pressure as well. So sitting down with those halfbacks this week, we try and give them some tools on what they can do to negate those pressure forwards. But as I said earlier, that one game doesn't make one sparrow doesn't make a summer, and those guys over the course of the season have been pretty good.
So what do you want to see from tomorrow night's game? What's the plan? Obviously win the game, but what do you want to see from your group?
Oh, look, just play our way, and we know that our way stands up against the good teams, and we rate St Kilda as a good team, and it comes back down to the contest, as you mentioned earlier.
On the Sloaney stuff, as we talked about before, do you think he's getting better at breaking that tag? Tech spoke on Monday that he's still learning how to break a tag, but he's getting better. Can you see the improvement when he's got a man on him? Is he getting better at shaking? Yeah,
absolutely. It's a little bit to Sloaney, but it's also the way we move the ball as a team. So I think we isolate Sloaney a lot, and how is he dealing with the tag, but how can we actually help him outside the contest, inside the contest? So we're working at it as a team as well. It's not just Sloaney.